I have spoken with the DC National Guard. And while I have to have more conversations with the chief of police, which I have today, and the mayor and my colleagues, we have a long way to get there. We just know that police alone is not getting it done.
Because I'm afraid to be out at night in the same community I was born and raised in. And we need all of, when I was growing up, they said it took a village. Where my village? Where my warriors? Where my queens and kings? Where are you? We need you guys. We need you. Thank you. And say my son's name, Bernard Hodges. Bernard Hodges. Bernard Hodges. Bernard Hodges. Bernard Hodges. Bernard Hodges. As you all know him as BJ, he will live on. He will live on. I would love to see the Recreation Center named in his honor. Bernard Hodges. Thank you.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about, yet again, another liberal city that is suffering from the policies that the residents there voted for, okay? And I got to tell you guys, this is one of my favorite segments, and I'm going to keep doing these segments because I find them to be quite enjoyable, right? It's almost entertaining at this point, even though it's kind of sad because most of the people that are suffering from these policies happen to be black, and I do care about the suffering of black people, which is why I cover this stuff. And the people that claim to be so pro-black and that they love black people so much, they seem to not really care, right? They're very silent on these issues, okay? They don't really want to talk about these issues. What they much rather talk about is, you know, stories like what happened in Alabama, the Alabama-Montgomery brawl, that a whole lot of black people put time and energy into, but the real stories that black people should be putting time and energy into are stories that actually really do affect, you know, black people negatively on a daily basis, which is not stories about the white man, right? The white man is not really the enemy, okay? The enemy is actually the criminals, a lot of whom, again, happen to be black. And as you guys saw at the beginning of this video, DC, which is a black city, right, for the most part, a black-run city, a black-run liberal city, they're suffering, right? So much that you have woke politicians calling for the National Guard to come in and to stop crime. You have people that are outraged by the crime and the violence that is happening. And that woman said something that I thought was pretty fascinating, right? She said, "Where are my kings and queens," right? Where is all the energy and focus on protecting us and changing things in our community? Again, like I said, it's misdirected, right? It's directed towards the white man down there in Alabama, right? The so-called racists, the white supremacists, and it's not, again, directed towards the real enemy of black folks, okay, which is criminals, a lot of whom, again, happen to be black, right? And in this case right here, we have DC residents that are outraged because of soft on crime policies that are allowing criminals to get away with shoplifting in broad daylight. And a lot of these criminals are thieving and shoplifting so bad that businesses are basically threatening to close, right? Businesses, grocery stores are in danger of closing in DC because they simply can't operate due to the environment that they're in. And their residents are upset and that they are concerned that they're going to be starved, okay? They're going to be placed in a so-called food desert due to one of their grocery stores, the one that we're talking about here in this video, Giant Foods, closing or potentially closing due to shoplifting. And these people are outraged and they're upset and they're trying to prevent this from happening. Take a look.
Go grocery shopping. I take my 4-year-old daughter with me. To have to walk through a group of people and to have to say, excuse me, just to go shopping, it makes no sense at all.
Residents uncomfortable just going grocery shopping in their own D.C. neighborhoods.
And concerns that some of those stores could actually pack up and close. And that father you just heard from shared his concerns with 7 News last month. Today, one council member now is speaking out in an effort to try and keep that particular store open.
And this one is critical because it sits right in the middle of a food desert. There are only a few full-service grocery stores in this part of the city, and losing one could be devastating.
Our Nick Minot caught up with the council member Trayon White at the Giant on Alabama Avenue and is making these concerned voices heard. Nick?
Yeah, he is. Trayon White says Giant told him this Giant grocery store in Southeast D.C. has lost $500,000 in product, accounting for 20% of sales, all due to shoplifting.
To date, this Giant has had at least 135 stops from people stealing from the store. And they're almost double that amount that didn't get stopped. And so I want to speak to the community today as the leader of this community.
D.C. City Council member Trayon White spoke out about the high rate of shoplifting at this Giant grocery store on Alabama Avenue Southeast. It's one of only 4 major grocery store locations east of the Anacostia River. And if this store closes its doors, White warned the impacts will be devastating and create a food desert for some D.C. residents. A month ago, 7 News showed you how A&C commissioners and the community gathered at the Giant location to speak out about their concerns that this store may leave their community if safety doesn't improve.
Live for us in Silver Spring, it's gotten really bad, Steph.
It has, and he says they're not closing just yet, but they are issuing warnings in Factorin as we were on air during the 5 o'clock show talking about this issue. D.C. police and the fire department were responding to a stabbing at a Giant supermarket. We do have a live picture of the scene there. This is Park Road Northwest and the Giant store there. It's this type of violence and the theft crimes that has the company president warning the community that something needs to be done. Ira Kress, told me that they're spending tens of millions of dollars to address crime at their stores over the past few years and that the costs keep escalating.
It makes me feel like I live in a different world than where we used to live. I mean, it used to be you could go to any place you wanted to go and you could feel safe and go shopping, do whatever you need. Now you got to watch over your shoulder. I love Giant. I come here all the time. I like their products. When you come to a store, though, you need to be able to feel free and safe to come. So I don't think it's just Giant's problem. I also think it's the law enforcement and those that make the law.
That was a customer there at the Silver Spring store here talking about how he views some of the issues and the way it has to be addressed. The Giant president, Ira Kress, he tells Fox 5 that they've had to increase security at some stores, lock up products, and close certain entrances at their stores, trying to address the crime along with employee customer safety. And the president says that his company is working with police, but police already have their hands full with shootings and carjackings. A big problem, he says, is the lack of punishment. For example, in Maryland, there has to be a theft of up to $1,500 or more for that theft to be considered a felony. We also spoke with a Giant employee who feels that, Giant could do more, like hiring more staff and making security enhancements across the board so that more eyes are on the product and more is being done to address things evenly. The Landover-based company has about 165 stores. A few shoppers tell us they feel the burden should be on everyone to address this.
We're not a bank. We don't have vaults. And I don't want to create an environment where everything is locked up in the stores. But I do not see today anything occurring which is going to significantly impact positively the escalation that's occurring.
7 News is asking the mayor and MPD what changes have been made since then to help. The mayor's office sent 7 News a statement that said Mayor Bowser is leading conversations with stakeholders to discuss public safety. Meanwhile, Giant has hired security, but Trayon White says more needs to be done.
We also learned that Giant in its leadership has spent over $300,000 in security. But that did not derail or take away from the people stealing. In fact, the regional manager told us that people had stuff in their carts walking straight through the door. Straight through the door. But taken from their store is really taken from yourself. We are home to a lot of senior citizens and elders who have to eat at this store.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, this Giant's food is not the only one, right? I showed you guys a couple clips in that. You have some that's in Maryland as well, too, that are basically threatening to close down, saying that they're dealing with too much shoplifting, too much crime, too much chaos. As you guys heard mentioned there, part of the reason why is because they're just not charging these individuals who get caught shoplifting with any serious crimes or felonies because of laws on the books pushed by progressive woke Democrats that believe that locking up black people is racist, right? And I'm gonna be the first person to say, Trayon White, this guy that's calling for the National Guard, that's acting so concerned and so upset about the possibility of Giant Food shutting down, he should resign, right? Step down, quit your job, you're in over your skis, and it's also your fault, right? It's partly your fault because this is the same guy that voted for this. So let's read a little bit here. The capital of the most powerful and prosperous country to ever grace Earth is an unpleasant and even unlivable place to call home. Over the past decade, Washington, D.C. has transformed from a beautiful, bustling, and vibrant metropolis into a city that often feels like a ripoff of Batman's Gotham. Between 2013 and 2019, D.C. recorded between 104 and 166 homicides per year. In the 3 years since then, it's recorded 198, 223, and 203 murders. This year, it's on pace to bear witness to 256. All this has been accompanied by skyrocketing crime rates across the board. The capital has already far eclipsed the staggering number of carjackings that took place there last year. Worse yet, only 80 arrests have been made in connection with 2023's 606 carjackings so far. Yeah, so this is the George Floydification of America. What you guys are witnessing here is the result of woke policies being passed in response to what happened to George Floyd. Right? George Floyd may be the worst thing to ever happen to black folks, right, in America, okay? What happened, right? Because the results of what happened has led to more black people losing their lives than ever before, okay? And, you know, again, people like me who call this stuff out, who tell the truth about it, who, you know, just say, hey, this is something we should actually be concerned about. I'm a sellout, I'm a Tom, I'm, you know, this, I'm that. Right? But the so-called pro-black revolutionaries that claim they love black people so much, they don't really have much to say about this. They really don't want to talk about it. They don't want to have a conversation about it, even though this is the main problem that black people are really dealing with. It's not the white man. It's not the white man. Okay? Prospects are so bleak that Trayon White, Sr., a Democratic city councilman who originally voted to lower the criminal penalties for a number of serious infractions, including carjacking and armed carjacking, is now calling for the National Guard's intervention in the carnage. Imagine telling someone in June 2020, amidst the gashing of teeth that accompanied Senator Tom Cotton's call for the National Guard used then, that a little over 3 years later, Democrats would be pining for the same thing. Quote, I'm tired of burying our children, White told the press this week. Yeah, so again, this guy voted for this. Right? He's a woke progressive. Okay, he was probably crying about defunding the police. Oh, we need to defund the police. After George Floyd, he should step down, right? If you want real accountability, if you want progress, the first thing this guy should do is step down. Quit. Okay, quit. Because you helped contribute to this. But again, you know, the reason why this guy's in power in the first place is because of the people that live there. They voted for it, right? They wanted a all-black leadership, right? Again, you guys notice a pattern here. All these cities, okay, that I talk about for the most part, the mayor's black, police chief's black, their local representatives are black. All this so-called black leadership is in charge, right? Which they say doesn't exist, right? We need more people, more black people in leadership. But it seems like, to me, the pattern here is that the more black people in leadership that we see, the more chaos that we see, right? Particularly in these inner liberal cities. They have all that, right? So they vote based off, you know, skin color, you know, and all this other crazy stuff. And then this is what they get, right? Again, how is it working out? I'm just saying. I mean, I can imagine that. I'm just saying, maybe, just maybe, if there was, you know, an older conservative white man, older conservative white man police chief, older white conservative representatives, maybe the lives of, you know, some of these black people would be a lot better, right? I'm just saying. And I'm only saying that because of the pattern that we're seeing. Because I'm not seeing in many of these places where people are complaining about crime, the places being ran by, again, older white conservative men, okay? Which apparently they're supposed to be the problem, right? They're supposed to be the problem for black folks, okay? People may find what I'm saying to be controversial, but I'm just telling you what my observation is, right? This is just the observation. Every single time I cover one of these stories, right, the leadership is black, right? The people that are running things are black. But nobody wants to call out the patterns that we're seeing in regards to the cities that this stuff is occurring in, right? Why is it that black leadership is so terrible, right, and running these cities? Why is it that these people are getting voted for in the first place? That's actually a better question. When you vote based off emotions, when you vote based off skin color, allegiance to your skin color, this is what you get. You should not have any allegiance to your skin color. You should have allegiance to this country, to your community, not based off skin color, but based off the well-being of your community. A lot of these guys don't understand this concept. When you align yourself with people based off the color of your skin, that doesn't mean that they have your best interests at heart, right? Again, crazy concept, okay? But again, some people got to learn it the hard way. The best way to red pill these people is to give them what they want. This is what y'all wanted, right? I highly doubt their voting habits will change. And if the store happens to close down, creating the so-called food desert, they're probably going to blame the store and say that the store is racist, right? The store hates black people because they're not allowing themselves to be shoplifted out of existence, right? They'll blame the store. Well, you didn't spend enough money in security, even though they spent over $300,000 in security. You know, security that can't really do anything. You know, these guys sit outside and they're just there to call the police, right? They can't really do anything. They can't stop anybody from stealing nothing. Even the criminals know that, right? The criminals know that these hired security officers can't do a damn thing, right? Again, it's amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing. But hey, seeing them boohoo, whine, and cry about it is, you know, somewhat entertaining, but also sad at the same time. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.